It's Blackberry Cobbler time. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me in the kitchen on Outside with Jeff. Today I'm going to be preparing a cobbler that was from blackberries that I harvested from our blackberry patch. So this cobbler is really easy to throw together. It is 5 ingredients. You're going to need self-rising flour, sugar, butter, whole milk, and of course fresh blackberries. Although I guess you can substitute those blackberries they sell in the store if you don't have your own patch. But let's get right into it. So this is going to be a recipe for a 9x9 pan. We're going to start by putting 1 cup of sugar in a mixing bowl. We're going to follow that up with 1 cup of your favorite brand of self-rising flour. Put that in. We're going to go ahead and gently incorporate the dry ingredients. I like to use a silicone spatula because it makes it so much easier to get the batter out of the bowl once you're done. After you feel the dry ingredients are really nicely incorporated, we're going to go ahead and add the 1/2 stick of melted butter right into the center. Once again, that spatula is really handy for getting all that tasty butter goodness out of that bowl. Let's go ahead and do a quick fold. If you had a mixer, you could use that as well. I just don't find it's necessary, but I do have a KitchenAid mixer. It's just it's not one of those things that's really hard to incorporate. So next we're going to add 1 cup of whole milk. You could substitute skim or 2%, or if you're a non-dairy and you weren't using butter for some reason, you could use a milk alternative if you preferred. But we generally drink almond milk in this house. However, when it comes to baking and recipes, I like to stick. I don't like to go too far away from the recipe because sometimes it can throw things off. Consistency and textures, or even the end result, cannot be quite what you're looking for. So I just went ahead and got a quart of whole milk from the grocery store. I'm going to be making a couple of these cobblers, but let's see. Get that incorporated really good. I'm going to bring my whisk in to help with the incorporation, get the lumps out of the flour. We don't want this to be doughy or anything like that, so that'll help quite a bit. Make sure we get everything good and mixed. Alright, I feel like that's a pretty good mix. Now, I like to use these disposable pans. They have 8x8s and 9x9s. This is a 9x9. I'm just going to go ahead and put our batter right into that pan. And I've already preheated. I have the oven preheating to 350. That'll be our baking temperature for this cobbler. All right, excellent. Now that self-rising flour, it'll rise. I'd say that right now it's currently only about 1 inch deep in the pan. Next, I have 2 cups of blackberries that I just finished picking from the patch, and we're just going to arrange those on top of this cobbler. And as this bakes, the self-rising flour is going to rise and start to cover the blackberries, and they will start to bust, and the juice will go into that cakey cobbler, and it's just going to be delicious. I may have measured out a little more than 2 cups of blackberries, but you want to get a good layer of blackberries in here. All right, that looks just right. Next, we're going to get a 1/4 cup measuring cup, and you're going to want to lightly sprinkle the top with sugar. This is a 1/3 cup, so I'm not going to quite use all of it. All right, that looks good. Now, our next step, we'll want to put this in the oven, bake it at 350 for 50 minutes. Then we'll be taking it out at that time, putting 2 tablespoons of sugar over the top, and putting it in for 10 more minutes. The oven. The alarm just went off saying it's preheated, so we're just going to put this right in here. Middle of the oven's fine. We'll set our timer to 50 minutes. And then when that timer goes off, we'll be back to put that little extra sugar on top. See you then. Okay everybody, it's been 50 minutes and I went ahead and whipped up 2 more right after the one I showed you how to prepare. You're supposed to pull them out of the oven after 50 minutes, and we are going to put 2 more tablespoons of sugar on top, and then we're going to put them in for another 10 minutes. So I have an oven thermometer in my oven. In order to get to the 350 degrees with the 3 cobblers in there, I had to turn it up to 360. So you might want to consider that when baking them. There we go, I just added the additional 2 tablespoons of sugar. I actually just did 1 tablespoon. I think 2 would be excessive, but that's what I did. Now I'll be putting this back in. That sugar will caramelize. The other 2 I have in there, each one took me 8 minutes to prepare. Now the first one, since I did it on camera, it might have taken me a little bit longer. But from the time I started the timer on the first cobbler to the time I put the second cobbler in the oven took 8 minutes, and it was exactly 8 minutes on the third cobbler. So once you have your ingredients out of the pantry and on the cabinet, even if you have to measure them, it's 8-minute prep time. As long as you have all your stuff right there where you need it, that's all it takes. So, and 50-minute, it's 60-minute total bake time. So an hour and 8 minutes, and only 8 of those minutes you're actively doing anything to have some delicious cobbler. So I can't wait to show you the cobbler after that sugar's done crystallizing and caramelizing. We'll see you back in a little bit. All right, the timer just went off, so let's see how everything looks. Looking good. There's the end result. So we're gonna let that sit and cool down, and then later on we'll give it a try. Although this one is a gift for a friend, so I won't be eating this one. All right, cobbler's done. Now it's time for the taste test. Let's see what it tastes like. Delicious.
I'm gonna taste it.
Creamy. A little tartness from the berry. I cut back a little bit on the sugar for the topping, as you've seen in the video. And I'm glad I did, because I didn't want that sugar just to overwhelm the flavor of the berries. But this is an amazing recipe. I'll post a link to the recipe from Pioneer Woman in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.